Does that include your hand? Cheryl Gallant, Federal Member of Parliament for Renfrew-Nipissing-Pembroke. We are still practicing our social distancing here. So today is Thursday, April 9th, 2020, and we're here to give you an update on the government programs that have changed, the announcements we've had in the past day or so that we can give you more information on what's available out there, let you know what's changed. So the first major changes happen in the area of Canada Summer Jobs. It's an annual program and it subsidizes employers. But what's really important is that it also provides jobs for students, university students as well as high school students, and in some cases even youth. They don't have to be a student, they can be 30 years or under. So let's go to the changes. And it's the changes are to help adjust to the delivery of the program during the crisis. And it's expanding, and the expansions include an increase to the wage subsidy so that private and public sector employers can receive up to 100% of the provincial minimum hourly wage for each employee. It used to be that only not-for-profits could be subsidized 100%. 2, there's an extension to the end date for employment to February 28th of 2021. So before, the employer only had subsidies up to the end of August, but now we're going into February and through February of next year. 3, it also is allowing employers to adapt their projects and the activities to support essential services. And it's also allowing employers to hire staff on a part-time basis. Before, it used to have to be a minimum number of hours per week. Some employers who have applied for the Canada Summer Jobs funding may have been forced to close. They may be out of business or chosen not to hire youth this year amid all the uncertainty. Now, to offset this, new employers and local organizations who may not have previously applied for the Canada Summer Jobs funding, but who could offer job placements that provide essential services during this critical time, may be able to adjust their applications. So perhaps since you're getting more subsidy, 100% instead of 50%, perhaps you can hire more people. And if you did not apply at all for the Canada Summer Jobs funding, but would be interested in being considered for funding, please contact me as soon as possible at cheryl.gallant@parle.gc.ca or call me at 613-732-4404. Now, if you missed any of this, I'll be putting the video onto YouTube so that you can refer to it later. Now, if you are a student and had a job lined up with an essential organization, ask your previously prospective employer to call or email me. Perhaps the expansion of the Canada Summer Jobs program could open up that spot for you. Now remember, the Canada Summer Jobs program does not apply to employers related to the students they're hiring. Now, if you applied for Canada Summer Jobs funding but will not be in a position to do any summer student hiring, please give me a call at 613-732-4404 or contact me at cheryl.gallant@parle.gc.ca so I can update the Canada Summer Jobs records accordingly. And if you're from Arnprior or Whitney, there is a toll-free number to call, and that is 1-866-295-7165. And please share this on Facebook in case there are other employers who don't necessarily get the emails or may not have seen the first Facebook post, but who may be in a position to apply for Canada Summer Jobs and could offer employment where none was looked at before. Okay, now the second topic that we're going to talk about are the adjustments that were announced to the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy. Now that's the 75% wage subsidy for the full-time employees and the businesses and other organizations who qualify for it. So there have been some recent changes, and that's what we're going to go through right now. So the initiative in the first place was to help employers keep and return workers to their payroll through the challenges that are being posed by the current COVID-19 situation. It provides a 75% wage subsidy to eligible employers for up to 12 weeks. And that could be retroactive to March 15th, 2020, or you can backdate it to March 15th, 2020. Now, eligible employers include individuals, taxable corporations, partnerships consisting of eligible employers, nonprofit organizations, and registered charities. This subsidy is available to eligible employers who experience a drop of at least 15% of their revenue in March of 2020 and a 30% drop for the following months. And so we have a slide showing the eligible periods. So period 1, March 15th to April 11th, there has to be a minimum reduction in revenue of 15%. Then in period 2, which goes from April 12th to May 9th, you have to have had a reduction in revenue in the amount of 30%. And period 3, May 10th to June 6th, another 30% reduction in revenue. So 15%, 30% drop, and 30% drop. And that is May 2019, or the average of January and February. So you don't necessarily have had a drop in the previous year for the month of March, but compared to January and February, if you had had even a 15% drop in revenue, you may qualify. Now, when applying for the subsidy, employers will be required to attest to that decline in revenue. This benefit now applies to new businesses and new business owners as well, and businesses who have had a sudden drop in revenues in March. Now, it is encouraged that all eligible employers rehire employees as quickly as possible and to apply for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy if they are eligible. Now, to ensure that the Canada Emergency Response Benefit applies as intended, the government will consider implementing an approach to limit duplication. So there's no double dipping. An employee can't collect the CERB and receive a wage. And the employer could not receive the CERB as well as the subsidy. So the new approach to limiting duplication could include a process to allow individuals rehired by their employer during the same eligibility period to cancel their CERB claim and repay that amount. Now, the amount of the subsidy for a given employee on eligible remuneration for the period between March 15th and June 6th, 2020 will be the greater of 75% of the amount of remuneration paid up to a maximum benefit of $847 per week, and the amount of remuneration paid up to a maximum benefit of $847 per week, or 75% of the employee's pre-crisis weekly remuneration, whichever is left. Now, those almost sound the same, so I'm going to help explain that a little bit. So let's say you have one employee hired in January with a pre-crisis weekly pay of $1,000, and that this employee now has a weekly pay of $800. You will receive a subsidy of $750. If you have an employee hired in January with a pre-crisis weekly pay of $1,000, and this employee now has a weekly pay of $500, you will receive a subsidy of $500. You can't receive a subsidy for an employee for more than the employee is actually taking home in a wage. Now, if you hire a new employee in April with a weekly pay of $500, you will receive $375. Employers may be eligible for a subsidy of up to 100% of the first 75% of pre-crisis wages or salaries of existing employees. These employers would be expected, where possible, to maintain existing employees' pre-crisis employment earnings. The pre-crisis remuneration for a given employee would be based on the average weekly remuneration paid between January 1st and March 15th inclusively. Employers will also be eligible for a subsidy of up to 75% of salaries and wages paid to new employees. Eligible remuneration may include salary, wages, and other remuneration like taxable benefits. It does not include severance pay or items such as stock option benefits or the personal use of a corporate vehicle. There will be no overall limit on the subsidy amount that an eligible employer may claim. So no overall limit on the subsidy amount that an eligible employer may claim. Employers are expected to make their best effort to top up employees' salaries to bring them to pre-crisis levels. Now, another part of the update is that the government is proposing an expansion of the Canadian Emergency Wages Subsidy by introducing a new 100% refund for certain employer paid contributions to employment insurance, Canada Pension Plan, and that refund would cover 100% of the employer paid contributions for eligible employees for each week the employees are on leave with pay and for which the employer is eligible to claim for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy for those employees. So an employee is on leave with pay if that employee is remunerated by the employer for that week and does not perform any work for the employer in that week. And this refund is not available for eligible employees that are on leave with pay for only a portion of a week. And there's no overall limit on the refund amount that an eligible employer may claim. So, how do you apply? Eligible employers are able to apply for the Canada Emergency Wage Subsidy through the Canada Revenue Agency's My Service Canada or My Business Account portal. So if you go to My Service Canada account and then click on My Business, you can choose which way you'd like to log on. If you go through your selected login partner, your banking institution, you can get that code on your cell phone very quickly if your cell phone number is attached to that login for your bank account, or by email if your email address is connected to that account. So if this may apply to your employer, pass this information on to your employer. Your employer may be at work addressing a number of issues related to the COVID situation. So if you know this is on their mind, or even if you don't, and your employer wants to do their best at keeping your wages at 100% or at least 75%, they can get some help. And share this with them, forward the email, tell them to look at Facebook, or send the YouTube when it's available. So I'll be working on that later today. So that's it. Have a safe, healthy, happy Easter weekend, and we'll be back in touch when there's more news on these programs.